Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Ham Radio Basics Live, Season 3, Episode 31, Ham Radio News and Updates, September 3rd, 2025. September already. Got good guys in the house already. Andy's here and Cooley's here. Welcome, guys. Hope you guys are doing Waypoint, New England, my friend. Good to see you. Love seeing you Tuesday night and Wednesday afternoon. That's the way to go. Okay. That is the way to go. Hope you guys are doing well. It just September already. I mean, seriously, it's really kind of crazy. Things are going this fast. Got an update on my teeth. On September 11th, I go in and they're going to give me my second set of attempts as a precursor to getting my permanent teeth in. So hopefully that's, fingers crossed. They said just for a few days with those. If those are fine, then they're going to base my permanence on that. And they made some adjustments, especially like my lower set of teeth are a little too far forward. So they're going to kind of push them back a little bit. So that's going to help. And I think that'll be good as well, too. Want to welcome everybody watching us on X. And if you want to join the conversation in the chat, you can click on the link on the pinned comment, which is for YouTube, and you can get in here. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to go ahead and drop them in there. I want to thank everybody for stopping by tonight. Thank you guys. Just my regulars. You guys are awesome. Awesome. We all know the Tokyo Ham Fair had just happened in August. And when the Tokyo Ham Fair happens, usually it's some exciting news. And we had the exciting news of the new IC 7300 MK2. Well, lo and behold, just to show you guys, I came across some things, and if you have $35, you can go out to DX Engineering, or you can go out to, let's see here. I got to switch gears here. Or we can go out to, let's see here, Ham Radio Outlet, or we could go out to, and this is one thing I wish StreamYard would do, would let you move through different files here. It doesn't let you do that when you're on the internet. When I wish I knew why. I don't know that. Let's see. I thought I had. Okay, I thought I had gigaparts, but apparently I don't. I did have gigaparts out there. Okay, but they are now all the big three are now taking reservations for the Icom IC 7300 MK2. And I was doing a lot of reading on this afternoon because I wanted to get caught up to speed as far as availability is concerned. It's looking like it's going to be probably early 2026. So if you want to get your reservations in, I would say get your reservation in now, because these are going to sell really well. I mean, 7300 is tried, true, tested. They've sold over 100,000 units. It's just a workhorse. It's just, you can't say enough nice things about it. And I would strongly recommend. I'm it's like, here, Icom, take my money. That's the way it is with me. So, yeah, Andy, I really think they're saying right now they want to try to have it out probably before Hamcation in Orlando in February, and I think that's probably a good time frame as far as that's concerned. One of the other things that I wanted to kind of interject here, and Waypoint New England knows where I'm coming from. When we get a drone release, when it hits the FCC database, it's usually pretty imminent, okay? And usually probably within less than a month, it's probably going to come out more often than not. Well, see what the just to kind of give you guys some background here, because it comes out over in Japan, it's been approved by their version of the FCC. Okay, it has not been approved by our FCC yet, so it has to go through their battery of tests before they can market, approved for the United States market. And that's why this process takes longer, because they announced this in Japan, which is all well and good, and it'll be available in Japan shortly. I'd imagine sometime probably before the end of the year. My guess is October, November, kind of a time frame. And yeah, Waypoint New England. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Now, it's probably going to be, looking at, I would say probably before Hamcation in February. I think this will be out. I mean, the little kid in me, in the 67-year-old that I am, would love to see it under the tree for Christmas, but sadly, I don't think that's going to happen. But who knows? I mean, they could get FCC approval and get them out. So 601, half dozen of the other. We'll see. It's just, I think it kind of frustrates me as a ham, because you get excited for all of this, and then all of a sudden, well, we're just going to cut you off at the knees for about 6 months before it'll make it to the United States. It's like, oh, what a pain. What a real pain. Yeah. Andy, it really is going to be a great radio. I mean, you think about how tried and true the 7300 is, how, people have just, it's intuitive, it's easy, and nothing against Yaesu. Okay. I have a Yaesu handheld, and I love that. But, Yaesu's big unfortunate claim to fame in my book is, their menu system. And, some models are better than others, but some are just absolutely horrific. And, Icom system is very straightforward. It's very intuitive. It's very easy. And to me, that's what makes the sell for me. That's absolutely, yeah, Andy, that CW decoder on there. Wow. What a godsend. Okay. Because, I'll be going by bands. Of course, I don't know Morse. I don't know CW, and I don't know if I ever will, but having that capability to be able to watch and see what the communication is that's going on, that's just absolute awesome. Okay. And I know a lot of guys, there are some radios that have that, and to have that feature, I think, is great. Now, one of the other things that I wanted to talk about again was price, because I've heard some things, people were initially saying 1,200, and I said, I think that's low. I think it's probably going to end up somewhere in the $1,400, $1,500 range. I mean, and you have to take a look at, and my good friend Waypoint New England knows, when we talked last night on Rotor Talk, on my drone show on Tuesday nights, we talked about how, when you go from one model to a new model and they've added features onto it, and, the constant comments that I get is, oh, they're, I can't afford it, or, or the big thing is, why is it going up so much? And you have to realize, there's cost involved with something like this. And, there's, for research and development and testing and marketing and everything has to, there's a cost associated with it. So to go up from $1,000 to $1,500, it's justified when you take a look and see what they are adding to this radio. It's tremendous. Okay. The CW decoder, the antenna out, HDMI, USB-C. It's really just, even thinking just those things in it. And then the adjacent, it's supposedly the filter is going to be better with adjacent signals. I mean, that's a real godsend. That is just an absolute godsend. And I think this is going to go really, really well. I think a lot of people are excited about it. I know I'm excited about it. I've seen there are a lot of people commenting on the videos that have come out about it. So get your reservations in now. That's all I got to say, because it really will fly off the shelves. No pun intended. Like I told people last night, Waypoint New England knows, there's a new drone coming out for DJI, and I said it's going to fly off the shelves. No pun intended. This is going to do the same, because even at 1500, okay, think about it, okay. The radio that Icom came out with last year, which is fantastic, but I mean that's around $6,000 for that kind of a setup, and that's a really hard pill to swallow. But $1,500 is something I think that's doable and within reach of just most consumers. And having these options, like for example, for me, having an option to be able to hook up an HDMI cable to a nice big monitor to be able to see things. Wow. Okay. My eyes are still pretty doggone good, but if I can have a nice big monitor to look at things, wow. Okay. That's absolutely fantastic. And I'm going to go there. Okay. I'm absolutely going to go there with that. Now, the other thing that I wanted to talk about as well too, and I don't know if I made mention of this, is, when this is getting closer to coming out, I think you'll probably see a lot of people want to upgrade their 7300s. So, keep a keen eye out for used 7300s. Be very careful where you do that. I would prefer to stick with something like eBay, where you have some form of protection with that. And of course, get radios from the United States. You don't want to look overseas, because band plans are different. Like a lot of people, initially looked at getting radios from Japan and realized their band plans are different. Same over in the UK and in Europe, band plans are different over there, what they can pick up. So, get them here from here in the United States. But, for example, for me, when I look at doing something like that, to get a, I'll get the MK2. And then after I get the MK2, I'll probably look at getting a 7300 to probably use for POTA. All right. I mean, there are a lot of people that do. I didn't realize how exactly, Cooley, exactly. See, that's what I think a lot of people are going to be doing, is they're going to do that. And I didn't know until I got out on YouTube and took a look. And thanks for bringing that up, Cooley. Till I got out there and I took a look and saw how many people were doing that, it blew my mind away. I just thought it was just, one off. And, I saw a couple of guys that were doing that, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then I took a look at, and there are several hundred videos out on YouTube on people doing that. I know one guy, he bought a really nice Pelican case, and he said it's easier. And he literally took like a different kind of like a silver magic marker and outlined it against the foam. And it has real easy pluck and pull foam. And I bookmarked a lot of these videos, and I have them. And that's probably what I'll do, is put that in something like a Pelican case. They're really kind of bulletproof with something like that. So, okay. Well, I wanted to get everybody up to speed on everything that I could find out about with a 7300 MK2. I would put your reservations in now. Okay. I really would, because, if you decide in December to put them in, you may be, number 150 or number 200 on the list. And you definitely want to do that. Now, Gigaparts has it too. I fat fingered it, and I must have closed that browser part. So, what we're going to do now is take a look at, and let me get my account back up here. All right. We're going to take a look at some videos. I spent the past few days looking at some videos, because I do this before Wednesdays, and except when, I have some topics, great conference. Yeah, the ID 5200 looks good too, Andy. And I'm going to talk about that probably next week. I think that's going to be a real interesting kind of radio. It has a touchscreen on it, which is real nice. One of the things that I like to do every so often is to get out on YouTube and take a look at a great variety of videos. And it really helps me get a pulse on things that are going on in the ham radio community. And in other words, I want to translate that. I want to get you guys what I think are some of the best videos that are out there right now that I recommend that you guys watch. And what I did was I ended up bookmarking them out to my out to Ham Radio Basics, both on Facebook, the group, and also on the Facebook page. Now, the first video it's from our friends at Ham Radio Prep, okay, and they did a great job in going around. You really need to watch this video; it's really good. The real reason people get into ham radio, and it's very interesting. You just hear such a variety of reasons why people took the plunge into what we consider one of, if not the greatest hobby in the world, is amateur ham radio. And it's very interesting. And these guys at Ham Radio Prep, James, everybody there, oh my gosh, these guys, they have such a heart for ham radio. They're so passionate about it. They're offering new courses there all the time. So you definitely want to check them out. But you really need to watch this video. It's really good. It's kind of entertaining in spots, but it gives you really good flavor to see what people are getting into and why they get into ham radio and helping to encourage others. So definitely that's something you want to watch. Now, there's going to be a few Walt videos here. Walt did such a great job on this video. He kind of, he went back and he looked at propagation and he went through and he really kind of explained it for even probably a new amateur radio user, ham radio user. And so it was in very understandable terms. He didn't go over your head with this. Okay. He used some great diagrams in the video as well to explain that, and he found, like HF signals through a hurricane, he was getting some incredible, propagation and just making some unbelievable contacts. And he did some deep diving into it. And the video goes through that. And because I don't want to spoil that for you, but Walt is really, if you guys haven't bookmarked him, marked him as a favorite and subscribed to his channel, do so. The man's one of my favorites out there because he keeps everything straight, simple, to the point. And also a shameless plug, buy his book. Okay, that's what I'm going to say there. Okay, Smoke and Ape just put out a video today on a Yaesu FTX 1F programming made easy with RT system software. And I got to say this, if you guys haven't ever used RT system software, do it. That is a lifesaver, okay? That has made programming radios so much easier. It's like you've come out of the dark ages into the 21st century as far as that's concerned. And it's definitely, if you have the Yaesu FTX 1F, or if you're thinking about getting it and are concerned about programming it, it makes it just so much easier. Oh, that's great, Cooley. Yeah, I've had him on the show. You know what? I'm going to try to get him back on the show sometime because it just he and I really click really, really well. I think he's another a lost brother from another mother kind of a thing is kind of what I think there. But yeah, that's a great video there. But the one for Ape, he really goes through it and shows how really easy it is to program the Yaesu FTX 1F. So definitely you want to take a look at that. Now, this is an absolutely awesome video. I could listen, okay, let's talk Yaesu UHF and VHF radios. And if you guys don't know, that's John Kruk from Yaesu, all right? I can listen to John Kruk for probably 2, 3, 4 hours, all right? The man is just a wealth and a fount of information about Yaesu radios. I think he's their most valuable resource. He is just, and he's a pleasure to listen to. He explains things very straightforward, not too over your head. I mean, you got to have some ham radio and amateur radio knowledge, but he does just a great job on that. And, he gets into some of these radios and he kind of gives you some, a peek into the future, so to speak. And it's always, and anytime he's on a show, he's always hard pressed to try to keep quiet because he knows things and he can't really say them. But looking forward to coming attractions kind of a thing. So definitely you want to watch that, and it's worth every minute of your time listening to John. Like I said, I always love listening to him, and he's just somebody I really, really have gained a lot of knowledge from. Well, the banner didn't come up for this one, but the Baofeng has put out a UV5R Mini, okay? And I this is a video. I did not watch the video, but I'm going to go back and watch it and take a look at it because I'm real interested to see. I mean, the UV5R is probably one of their best-selling radios, and they've come out with it, and obviously it's a smaller version. So you want to definitely check that out. Now, this is a really good video. I think the guys over in the UK, maybe Scotland, Ireland, how I reduce my receive noise floor on HF by eliminating interference. Okay. Always a good video. Always, and I got to say this, a lot of times it doesn't really resonate. You don't really think about it, but because I always wondered back in the day why some of the old hams or older hams had a shack outside the house, a wooden in a wooden shack, not a metal one, a wooden shack outside the house. And then it kind of, after watching this, it really kind of hit me like a light. Okay. It's like you're away from all, okay, because my room right here, all right, I have so much RF interference, it won't be funny. All right. And I'm gonna have to really be careful on all that. Or try a different area in my house to put in where my radio is going to go permanently. All right. It really, what he says, it's all common sense, but you don't realize the interference that you get from like household appliances, like the dishwasher, refrigerator, washer, dryer, stove, the air conditioner. I have the added, we have the added bonus here. We have a whole house home generator. We live in, obviously, for those of you who don't know, we live in Florida, and it's powered by natural gas. So in the event of a hurricane and a power outage, we'll have power, which is really nice. All these produce sine waves, and all these have, are RF interference factors, and you try to need to mitigate them. And there's some really good tips. You definitely need to watch this video, but a lot of it's common sense. I mean, if you really think about it, like if you look in this room, I have a big screen. My big screen Sony 80-inch Sony is over here. I have my work laptop back there, back behind me. I have this laptop here. We have a printer over there. I mean, that's just for starters. All right. And anytime I try to when I use my radios, I'm not in this room. All right. Because there's just going to be too much interference in here. It's just not going to happen. So, because I was originally planning on putting this here, and then I'm like, putting my shack here, and then like, wait a minute, I don't think that's really going to work real well because I have so much electronics in here. So, but this video kind of gives you some food for thought. So definitely, this is something that you definitely want to think about here. Now, Josh from Ham Radio Crash Course. This is some common sense here. Gear that can save your radio activation, and a lot of this makes sense. Now, recently I purchased a very small screwdriver set to help work on some of my laptops if I need to do some things to that, and I found a really good price on several on Amazon, and I ended up getting two of them, but I ended up sending one back because the other one that I got, it's in a nice green case. It has everything that I need and all the sizes that I need, and they're magnetized, so they pick up the screws and they hold them. I make sure I get a little cup so I can put those in there when I'm working on it, and I work on the green board, and you know what I mean by the green board. That really makes a big difference for me. But no, that's one of the things. Having tweezers, having pliers, just a whole host of things. Having your soldering iron or gun, just some having having a lot different coax connectors, uh, some cable lying around, these kind of things. Just have your emergency kit or have your repair kit or whatever you want to call it. Have it on standby and be ready because I don't have a kit, but I have a drawer in my plastic carts that I have underneath my desk, plastic file carts underneath my desk, and it has all these things in there. Okay, I have extra coax in there. I have extra right angle cables. I have extra adapters in there. Just ad nauseum, extra power pole connectors in there, extra wires in there, extra plugs in there. I mean, you go on and on and on. You kind of get the drift. And this was obviously on one of his live streams that he did. But you get some good ideas from that. You definitely want to take a look at something like that. Okay. Jason put out a video, new GMRS frequencies. Apparently, someone has petitioned the FCC to expand GMRS and add some more bandwidth to that. And if GMRS is something that interests you, and it interests a lot of hams, it interests me. I have my GMRS license. I mean, it's only one of these deals. You got to pay for it, and boom, you're done. It's something good, I think, to have in your tool chest, and it's good to have, I think, some GMRS radios around in case what hits the fan. I think that's a good thing, and that's a good video. And Jason talks about it, and what the person's doing, I think, is making some good sense, and that's something I would encourage you to watch because it'll give you a leg up on what's going on GMRS now. Always good to talk about batteries. Always good to find out and to learn more on batteries. And since I started in ham radio, I've learned so much about LifePo batteries, and I've learned so much about the size and things that are needed. And my good friend Joe, he used to be the manager at the San Diego store for Ham Radio Outlet. He gave me a great guide a couple of years ago on trying to get the right battery for the right transceiver kind of a thing. And I want to thank Joe for that. Joe, if you're watching, thank you so much for that. That's really been a lifesaver for me. And I passed on that information on to others as well, too, because, that's probably one of the number one questions I think a lot of guys get is, what size battery should I be using for, especially, POTA? What size battery should I be using for a 7300 or for, a 705 if I'm out there, if I'm using an external battery kind of a thing. And these are great questions. This is a really good video. It gives you a real good flavor for that. And it kind of explains a lot of what the chart that Joe gave me as well, too. So definitely this will give you some a legs up on things here. Julian, OH8STN, he's an expatriate. He lives over, I think, Finland. I think that's what you guys have told me. Yeah, Cooley, definitely you want to do it because I can tell you right now, that's going to be money well spent. And there's so many cheap options for GMRS radios, and they work really well. Julian does a great review on the Lab 599 TX 500 MP HF 50 megahertz portable ham radio. And him, the man is just solid as far as being ready to handle different situations, no power situations. And he's come out with a new book. You definitely want to check that out. But this sounds like it's such a great radio. Now it is expensive. Okay, it's about $1,500. You have to realize that. But imagine you really have a handheld HF radio that you can hold in your hand. All right, obviously got to have the right antenna, but still. Definitely give a watch to this video. Julian puts out great material. I highly encourage you guys to go ahead and watch that. Now, Jason's doing a video series right now. He's trying to get 30 videos out in 30 days, which kudos to Jason. That's fantastic. I'm glad he's doing that. He gave himself a challenge, and I think that's a great thing. Obviously, for me, I get out one video a week. I'm doing good. All right. Jason's going for 30 and 30. I think that's fantastic. But he's talking about top ham radio expert reveals best techniques for FM simplex. And, there's a lot to be said for that. And, in part of the video, he talks about, listening to 146.520 and there's really kind of like nobody on it, which is really kind of a shame. And as he's I guess he travels a lot to Galveston, and he said there really wasn't a lot. So he's kind of put out a challenge out there for everybody to start using that. If you have a radio in your car, to start using 146520, and communicate with people. And I think that's great. I really like the thoughts behind that. So definitely, I think that's something that you'd want to look into. Now, there's another new Baofeng that came out, the Baofeng DM32UV multi-band. It's a DMR radio. It looks like a good radio. I'm not into DMR radios, but I think that's something. If you're into DMR, I think that's something you should probably check out. The video looks good. I think it's a good radio. You probably do want to take a look at that. Okay. Josh put on another good one, push the any key. What's the best ham radio computer? And one of the things, having been in IT my entire career, one of the things that I can tell you, what you want to look for is something, you don't need to get like an HP Omen, a gaming type of laptop or desktop. You don't need to have like 4 terabytes of storage. I mean, you could if you want, if you're doing other things, if you're multitasking with it. I think the things that you're looking for is you want to have a great processor with this. Whether it's Intel or AMD, make sure, or Ryzen, get a great processor. Number one, get a lot of RAM. Number two, okay, 32 gig is probably good or even better. And those are a couple things that I would definitely recommend as far as that's concerned. And again, for your eyesight, obviously if you get a bit one with laptop with a bigger screen, that'll help as well too. But you want to really kind of focus on things like, and you can watch the video. Josh did a live stream of this, but my big things are, you don't really need like an incredible video card with this. You don't need a lot of storage with this. Like a 2 terabyte is sufficient, or even probably one. Your big things that you want to focus on is a great processor and some good RAM to be able to handle things with that. So, and Mobile Master, is the Icom IC7100 really a great mobile radio? And there's kind of a roundtable discussion on this. I personally like it. I think it was good. I think Icom did some great things to it. I wish they would have done several other things, like maybe upgraded it to a color screen and made it a little more user friendly as far as that's concerned. But that's kind of neither here nor there. Now, Walt put out a great video on my G90 dive, and he has 2 G90s, and he kind of went through this, and I don't want to throw out too many spoilers here, but when you take things on and off repeatedly on a radio like that, if you're doing POTA activations, solder joints wear out. So that's all I'm going to say. Watch the video. It's very educational, and Walt walks exactly through what he did to fix his radios. Okay. And he has 2 of them, and he bought a second G90 that has power poles with it now. So it makes obviously connecting to external batteries, much easier on something like that. Now, this was real interesting. And I found his channel. He calls himself the Southern Ham. Okay. A new guy. He's only been licensed for about a year or so, but he put out a great video. And what was really amazing was, apparently what some sad hams are doing is they're recording your QSO and then they're playing it back. They're playing it back on the radio to you. And, and like I said, when I responded to him, because I commented on his video, I'm like, man, oh man, oh man. I said, you know what? James, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate that. Yeah, I hear you about that. That 4-letter word thing. Next November, I'm going to be taking care of that for it's called retirement. But no, sad hams are out there. They want attention, and they're going about getting it in the wrong way. And there's a whole host of reasons why people are sad hams, but I think they're not connected with a club or a group or other hams. Number one, and number two, they're just trying to get attention out there, but they're going about it the wrong way. And I dropped him an encouraging message because he really does a great job with POTA. So be that as it may, right here. And next to the last video here, 30 days of ham radio. Achieve reliable outdoor radio contact with this one simple setup, 30 days of ham radio. Good video from Jason. Jason does a great job with stuff. Jason's very straightforward. Absolutely love watching his videos, his channel. He has some great information on there. Absolutely fantastic. And then our friend Professor Jim on Tokyo Ham Fair, new radios coming in 2026. He put out a short about that as well too. So you guys feel free to go ahead and take a look at that at your leisure here. So well, Thomas, I'm glad you stopped by this afternoon. Appreciate that. And James, thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate that. So that's kind of where things are as far as news and updates are concerned. Again, to repeat what I said at the top of the show for you guys that just showed up, the IC 7300 MK2, Gigaparts, Ham Radio Outlet, and DX Engineering are now taking the $35 deposits for that. My suggestion is, if that's something that interests you, put your $35 down. It's more than likely probably not going to come out until early 2026, but it gets your place in line because you may have 100. If you decide to do it in December, you may have 150 to 200 people ahead of you, and you know how fun something like that is. And today went through quite a number of, and I went through some reasons why it's taking so long to get new radios out. We talked about that, so you guys can feel free to go back and watch some of that as well too. And then we went over some what I think are some really good videos that are currently out there on YouTube right now for the ham radio community to help. And I got to say this, guys, you guys are great in the chat, fantastic. Really appreciate that. Really appreciate your comments. Really appreciate your comments on videos, and you guys do a really good job. And keep that up. That's really good. That's encouraging for guys like me who, I'm dedicated to getting, my whole job besides the premise behind this channel is to try to make things simple for hams out there. When I first started, it was very complicated. There weren't a lot of guys out there on YouTube, and I really wanted to start a channel to help make things real simple and straightforward. And I hope we're doing that, and I'm trying to pass on some great educational stuff to all you guys out there. Thank you guys so much for showing up. All you guys in the chat, appreciate that. Really appreciate you, Waypoint New England. You're on Tuesday night and Wednesday afternoon. You got a gold star in my book, but all you guys get gold stars in my book. Thank you all so much. UTV and Ham, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate that. Thank you guys so much. As always, guys, it's a great day to make a QSO. 7-3 to all of you. Have a great rest of your week. See you.